Welcome to Cinema Sketches. I'm Dan Beazle, and I'm an artist with a love for movies. Finding artistic inspiration can be challenging, so why not draw inspiration from those movies? Watch as I create whatever art the movie inspires, and listen as I share my thoughts on the film. Be sure to like, subscribe, and activate those notifications to help the channel. Today, I'm drawing inspiration from the 2023 movie The Toxic Avenger, directed by Macon Blair. The Toxic Avenger stars Peter Dinklage, Luisa Guerrero, Jacob Tremblay, Elijah Wood, and Kevin Bacon. Now let's dive into it. We're going to kick some things off with some toned paper. But I decided to change things up a bit today. Instead of starting with a pencil sketch, I've decided to build everything up with my alcohol markers. Since I'm experimenting, I'm starting off as light as possible. You may say, hey Dan, are you going to acknowledge this is a remake? I watched the original back in the 80s and still love it. It's gross, it's crass, it's cheap, and it's exploitative. It still had some heart and says something about the evils of capitalism. Hey, just like this movie. Too bad we never fixed any of those issues. But as you can see here, yeah, I've just been working slowly trying to find the right amount of lightness to build everything off of. I'm working on 3 different versions of Toxies. That's right, I'm going to go with the original Toxies, the Toxies from the cartoon, and also this new Toxies. Because I watched the cartoon and even dove into the Marvel comics that came out in the early 90s, and that's why I decided to do all 3. But I left the comic Toxies out. Sorry, Toxies. I only had enough room for 3. Now here, I'm working with a green outline here because we've got 2 green Toxies, and the one in the middle, the original Toxies, he's going to be more brown tones. So in this version, we follow a struggling janitor, Winston Goose, played by Peter Dinklage. He's doing his best to provide for his deceased girlfriend's son Wade, and they have a rocky relationship, to say the least. We learn that Winston is suffering from a brain disease and is in need of medication. And things go downhill after he attempts to plead with his boss, played by Kevin Bacon, to fix his insurance so he can get the proper care. Since this is a Toxic Avenger movie, events lead to Winston getting himself into trouble and eventually being submerged in toxic waste, becoming the titular, disfigured, toxic hero. Will Toxies be able to properly avenge himself and the city, all while fixing his relationship with Wade? I'll leave that to you to watch because I don't want to spoil this flick at all. Also, working on some original Toxies here, doing some brown outlining for him. And then, of course, I'm going to go in and I'm going to just start building up some of these tones in here. It's really nice working with the toned paper with this as well, because it gives a good base. Speaking of putting in a good base, putting in some light green for my Toxic Crusaders Toxies and 2023 Toxies. Now it should be noted that Toxies proper in this movie is played by Luisa Guerrero and voiced by Dinklage. The makeup and costume is pretty ridiculous in the best way, and she does an amazing job as Toxies. Also in this version, Toxies' iconic mop weapon is no mere mortal mop. In this one, his mop glows with toxic energy and can melt anyone it comes in contact with. We can see where that's going. Going in, putting some just some texture in the original Toxies here, and then I'm gonna go and do the same with my other Toxies. Again, all I'm doing is just building up these tones. If it takes me a little while, it takes me a little while. I'm okay with that. Because it's always easier to go darker than it is to go lighter. Speaking of melt, this Toxic Avenger is no slouch when it comes to goofy gore gags and sleaziness. there are a lot of cheap CG effects for the gore, but you know what? I feel that they're right at home with a Toxic Avenger movie. All the bad guys are over-the-top evil, and also another character is the city, which technically not the usual Tromaville, but they play with it a little cheeky here and there. The city remains a sad result of the greed and uncaring nature of those in power. Oh, look at, yeah. All right, I see you, Mr. Toxic Crusaders Toxie, looking mighty fine as I put in some dark outlines. Yeah, I really wanted to balance this out by putting both our green Toxies on the outside and brown Toxie in the middle. Moving on to new Toxie, doing the same there. You know, what's fascinating about this latest version is that it was made in 2023 and should have been released, and it did receive a lot of praise at early screenings, but then sat for a couple years. I dare say, despite the repeated news over the decades of there being a reboot in the works, and it just failed to get anywhere, I do appreciate that this is the one we got. Can you believe at one point in time that they actually wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger to be the Toxic Avenger? Well, I would have loved to see that. I'm still just very happy with this one. Going into original Toxie and darkening things up here, just like I did with the other two. I'm really happy with how all this is turning out too, by the way. I think my little experiment has paid off. So the director, Macon Blair, he brings a style that I really appreciate, and clearly has a fondness for the movies of Troma's past. And Blair is, I think, successful in bringing that Troma spirit into the modern age of superheroes. Yeah, OG Toxie looking pretty good, just like his compatriots. Going in with some dark grays here, working that up. Yep, just building up all these tones, getting some darkness to new Toxie's weird bulbous eye. Of course, gotta have that white pencil coming in, making things pop, getting some highlights in there. Oh yeah. So in case you haven't picked up on it by now, I really enjoyed this Toxic Avenger. It was a lot of fun seeing good actors like Dinklage, Wood, and Bacon just ham it up, and this low-budget, gross-out commentary on capitalism, the healthcare system, and even Big Pharma. But the thing to note is that Toxie has always been a true blue-collar USA hero who fights for the people. And that's why I drew all three Toxies here, because you know what? In my book, all Toxies are valid. One last thing I want to do to this is I just want to write Toxie on the bottom. But I'm not too concerned with how this is going to look because, you know, kind of like the movies, I kind of want it to look rough around the edges, nothing fancy, no frills. Get some highlighter yellow in there, make it all kind of toxic looking, just Toxie greens and whatnot. Green highlighter getting thrown into the mix. Why not? Darken it up a bit, make it pop. You know what? I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Lloyd Kaufman and all the work he's done at Troma over the years and just sticking with it and making Toxie an icon. Thank you, Lloyd Kaufman. Really just kind of top things off with good old radiation symbol. I'm going to give the 2023 Toxic Avenger 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. Thanks for watching. Do all the things that help the show grow and share your thoughts on the movie and what inspires you in the comments. Check out Corrupted Youth Podcast for more movie discussions with my son Brennan and me. You can find episodes here on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Links in the show notes. Until next time, art and at hand the world.